I notice that it's all has to do with expressing openly what it does to me, and but not in a critical way. So the tendency is to criticize the other person, and in that using your seeing your norm as absolute. But if you just if you are conscious of that it's only your norm or your expectation, and not that it not necessarily is the same for the other person, and but you just express what it does to you, then you also touch the emotion that's underlying, and that's what happened, I think, also this time. So by opening up, you also open up to your own emotions that are blocked.
Yes, so that's like, perhaps if we were to look at this way of emotional regulation on a linear perspective, in a step-by-step or stage-by-stage approach, what you're discussing here is already level 3 or stage 3 somewhere in coping with it, right? So this would be the reframing that people would do ideally after they have done the ABCD, and then they come to the F, the fast forward. How would I ideally want to behave, or how would I ideally want to share in the future, or express myself in the future that helps the situation? And what you are describing is one method. And it's a beautiful method because it touches on so many different levels. It touches your ability to see things from another person's perspective, number one. 2, being able to allow for their perspective to be just as valid as yours. 3, being able to share compassion towards their perspective, and doing so even on the spot as the situation occurs. So that's an amazing, amazing 3 skills that you already have on board. Then, in addition, what you're doing, you're adding an element of vulnerability. And if somebody hurts you and you're capable to stay true to yourself, express yourself, not constipate the emotion or reject it, but express it from a place of vulnerability, this is a priceless gift, because what you are doing right there and then, even though you are already in a vulnerable state because somebody has unjustly done something to you seemingly, by opening up and remaining open in spite of the pain, that requires quite some courage, that requires quite some honor there, and self-integrity. That's a very it's a beautiful trait. So I remain vulnerable. It hurts me. What happens right now is hurting me. I recognize the emotion. I recognize the inner healing that needs to occur. However, instead of running from you, or denying you, or rejecting you, or maybe even repelling you, or being aggressive towards you, what I will do is I will just lay myself bare. I will lay my heart open. I will correct myself even more open. And that is an unbelievable skill to be practicing, because your vulnerability also shows the other person. It becomes a lesson. It becomes a lesson without being preached to. So there is no preaching, there is no conditioning, there is no thou must not, thou must never step on my toes. So there is no demanding, there is no nagging, there is just merely sharing, expressing. So what you did here is step 1, 2, 3, 4, F, fast forward, reframing the behavior. So this is a beautiful example, thank you for sharing, of how could ideally do it better.